1, 2, whenever you guys are ready.
Oh. We're ready. I'm ready.
Is Dave ready?
Dave?
Is there anything out of place, like my hair?
It's under the hat. Oh, that hair.
You're good, man.
We're good?
Are we ready to go?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Thumbs up.
Cool. Cool. Well, hey, I just want to thank you for giving me some time today, Howie.
I want to thank you, Michael, for having me on. I am very appreciative. I don't know if your viewers or listeners know how you are in charge of every penny that goes into making the most successful television show in history. You know, we are still the #1 entertainment show in American and North American television. America's Got Talent.
Yes.
You are the EIC, which is ick, but executive in charge, you know, of every dollar. And I don't know that people realize, and this is why I respect you and why I want to, and I think this is a great idea and this is a great podcast, because people always say, how do I get into show business? You know, show is 4 letters. It's more business. It's always business. And people have to understand, as somebody who came from retail and business,
right,
there is more business than there is show.
Yeah.
And you are in charge of every penny
that
makes that happen.
Thank you. Stressful at times, but hey, it's beautiful. So that's why we're here.
But everything that can make something or yourself successful needs to be a little stressful.
That's
no
true.
pain, no gain. You're going to work out, you're going to get abs.
I agree. No pain, no gain. Anything that's worth something is stressful.
And that pain is fun.
Yeah.
That's the game.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Okay.
100%. Well, hey, you know, let's dive in here and see. So typically what I like to do, because this is about financial literacy, is kind of bring you back to your roots.
Right.
If you will. So share with us, like, where you grew up. Do you have siblings? Tell us a little bit about the beginning.
Okay, so I grew up, I'm from Toronto, Canada. I come from a middle-class family. I grew up in an apartment. My brother and I, this is the 2 siblings, shared a room. We didn't have money. I watched my parents. My parents actually ended up doing well once I had grown.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which makes me a little resentful, but because when they had money, I was already gone. But the truth of the matter was, they taught me the spirit of trying to make it. They taught me the spirit of understanding that if you achieved anything on your own financially or bought something, because rather than it was given to you, if you earned it and got it, the joy I got from that. And, you know, they couldn't afford to buy me a car when I turned 16. I bought my first car.
Okay.
You know, when I was 11 years old, I realized there was things I wanted. And so I got a paper route, you know, and I had the biggest paper route in, because I live in Toronto, Canada, and it was bad weather. I lived in this cluster of apartments.
Okay.
So I was delivering 225 papers at 11 years old. But it sounds like a lot, but I had a wagon. I'd go down and grab stack and then drop them in front of every door from floor to floor to floor into the elevators.
And how old were you though?
Maybe, I thought I was, maybe I'm saying 11, probably 13.
Okay.
You know, but then it was really hard to collect. But you didn't make a lot of money. But at that time, if I was putting, you know, $20, $30 a week into my pocket as a 15-year-old or 13-year-old, that was my money.
Right.
You know, I didn't understand at that point anything about saving, anything about investing, but I did get I did catch the fever of going, I got $15. I could buy gum. I could buy my baseball cards. I could buy, and I don't have to ask my mom.
Right.
You know, and that is something that has continually been my driving force.
You're independent. You're independent at this point.
But I tell you that my creative juices, my entrepreneurial juices, far outweigh my creative juices. We work together on a show, but I'm actually more interested in business than I am the show.
It's amazing. That's why I'm here, because I'm more interested in your business acumen than anything right now. Because as a 14-year-old kid growing up in a farm, right, if I had an outlet or the ability to talk to a business owner, I would gravitate toward that, right?
Here's what I think, and this is what's great about you. You said most people, and this is what I find fascinating, most people, of any age are financially illiterate.
Right.
I find it fascinating when somebody has a full-time job in a managerial position, and then they have to ask an accountant or a friend, what can I afford? I want to buy a house. Do you think I can afford it? Do you think I can, like, what kind of mortgage will this be? Like, why do you have to ask somebody else?
Right.
My contention in life is as soon as you achieve the ability to do fourth grade math, my granddaughter's in fourth grade, and that's why I use that as so she's learning how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide.
Right.
As soon as you have that skill set and no more, I believe that you should be able to create a financially successful life for yourself.
Right. And operate off a budget.
Budgeting is a big part of it. But for me, the thing that was the biggest influence, I didn't realize it was the biggest influence, but I understood it. I read this book. Did you ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
I did.
I love Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
It's a great book.
And his contention, and I didn't know that I was following this because I started doing this before that book, probably before this guy was even born, that wrote the book. But every time I had $1, instead of saying I had $1, that dollar is an employee. Like, what can I do with that dollar to make $2?
Gotcha.
What can I do with that dollar? My wife got mad at me when we moved out here. Moved out here in 1978. And I was being asked, I wasn't making a lot of money, but, you know, I'd get like $25 a set for comedy and whatever. And we had a little hibachi where we'd make hot dogs, or once a week we'd go to a deli and split a sandwich. I had no money, but I put everything in the bank. It took me about a year to save up. I had like $5,600 in the bank. We were living in an apartment, a low rent apartment.
Sure.
And I had $5,600 in the bank. And then my wife got mad at me. I took $5,000 and I bought a term deposit, a 10-year term deposit at like 14%. You know, and so that's locking in $5,000. I took everything out of our bank. We had $600 left in the bank.
Right.
And she said, and then you locked up all our money for 10 years. I said, I feel more comfortable because I don't know that I'll ever get another job. I don't know that anybody will ever hire me again, but I will work my ass off. I feel more comfortable that $5,000 doesn't go away. It's mine.
Right.
And it's an annuity that will guarantee me 14% a month without passively.
So it's an investment. So you basically invested that money into this annuity.
For me, that doesn't go away. I'm not spending it because even if I spend it, if I buy a sandwich is gone. If I buy a car, as soon as I drive it, you know, I've always been cognizant of as soon as I drive that car off the lot, without anything, I've lost 15%, 20%. What I don't know what a car's value as soon as it's used.
I think it's 20.
I think it's 20. I have no idea what it is, but I know that if I pay $20,000 or $30,000 for a car, I just have to. I could take it for a test drive, but as soon as I buy it and my name's on it, and I drive it off that lot at 1 foot off of that lot, that car's worth $25,000.
Right.
I just lost $5,000.
Right.
And to me, that sticks out more than what I could make. And my whole existence is how can I show up someplace? How can I make money without showing up someplace? Right. How can I, whereas, a lot of people, and this is part of the book, a lot of people, they say, and I don't believe in this, I don't believe in education, to be honest with you. I think if you have a dream, if you want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer, you want to be a programmer, then I think that you need to have that skill set and go train and learn that and go to college for that.
Yep.
But I think short of that, a lot of people are wasting their life in school and then they go out and get a job. And there's people that get innocuous, diplomas and they get,
a lot of debt.
Yeah, a BB, a Bachelor of Business or whatever.
Yeah.
But then they get that. Mm-hmm. And then even if they should be lucky enough to get a position in a job, and lucky enough with a big college education and degree, get $100,000 a year job. I think what most people will do is they'll go try to buy a house.
Right.
So if they buy a house at $200,000, really what they're investing in is a mortgage. So you're investing in, you know what I can buy? I can buy a debt.
Right.
And my thing is, it never made sense to me. I don't have a GED, but what made sense to me is if I can rent an apartment that has an extra room and I could charge my friend, or 2 extra rooms, and I could charge my friend for those 2 extra rooms, so I'm not paying any rent. So if I'm not making money, I'm not spending money, then and it may not be in the area that I want to, but that's where I can afford to have a 3-bedroom apartment.
Right.
Then that was more satisfying than knowing that my bank account is draining each and every month just because I have a nice view out my window.
Yeah, we're very similar in that. When I bought my first house and had the ability to buy my first house, I rented out all the rooms to do exactly what you just explained.
Right.
And it worked well. It worked really, really well.
But to me, that's common sense. I think that people think finance is like science, and it really isn't.
No.
And I think if people understood how simple it was,
Yeah.
I truly believe, and this is going to sound crazy, but I truly believe that even somebody earning minimum wage could, at a very extended length of time, become incredibly self-sufficient.
I agree.
There is
I agree.
a way to make money. You know, I'm watching my daughter, my oldest daughter, who I do my podcast with, is incredibly entrepreneurial.
Oh, great.
And like
I might need to have her on.
I'm telling you, it's amazing. You know, she's a teacher. She's got her master's in education, in urban education. But you have no idea. She owns, she has 3 or 4 different, 3 properties right now.
Oh, wow.
That are all earning money. She did it on her own.
Wow.
Right now, you know what those Stanley cups are? Not hockey.
Yeah, I know
The
what they are.
Stanleys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she buys them because she has a little daughter who pointed them out. She saw online that there was these chat rooms where people are going, "Oh, did you get this one?" Or you know, they're sold out. So she sells them online for incredible amounts.
Yeah.
For an incredible
It's a frenzy.
It is a frenzy. She has these helium hotspots mining Bitcoin
Oh, really?
all over the city. Do you know about that?
I don't know specifically, but I've heard of them.
You know, I don't know how she found it, but she's always looking at how to make a buck.
Wow.
I think she got that from me.
I was going to say, did she learn it from you?
Absolutely, because from the
She grew up
time
with
my kids
Yeah.
were little,
Yeah.
you know, I love the game Monopoly.
Me too.
And I think finance is a game.
Me too.
Finance isn't something you earn. Finance is something you play.
Correct.
And when you realize that this is a game, and some people win, some people lose, it's not. You don't look to other people to pay you.
Right.
Don't look to other people to give you. Don't look for things to happen. Play the game.
Oh my God.
You know,
You're speaking my language 100%. My favorite game to this day, Monopoly. And it's exactly
too.
my mentality.
and the best part of Monopoly was trying to strategize where I can put the houses so that while I'm playing and trying to go around and make money, you're landing on my houses and giving me money.
That's right. And
You know?
how can you make the house a hotel and
5 houses gets a hotel. But that's constantly what I've done. You know, even as we sit here today, I don't know if you're telling your viewers or your listeners that you're sitting in my
Oh yeah,
in my
absolutely.
place.
They
So
know this is-
but the concept behind what I did was, listen, I need an office.
Mm-hmm.
They were when I blew up on Deal or No Deal.
Yep.
NBC offered me a development deal.
Okay.
You know, so I had an office. They were paying the overhead.
Nice.
And they were owning. You know, that's what happens when you
Yeah.
have a production
Yeah,
deal.
it's
So
nice.
so nothing cost me anything.
Yep.
But if I had an idea, they would take 90% of it or whatever, 95% of
Right.
it or whatever. So eventually I said, well, what if I don't take your money? What if I get for all intents and purposes, a warehouse?
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's a lot of people that do what I do that are producers. And then I rent out all the space around me. So now instead of somebody covering my overhead,
Right.
when I don't show up here, there's a lot of people at work. I'm making money. Not my show or anything. I'm making money because as you walk
Well, you
around
created
here,
a business. It's a business.
but it's an easy business. The point is, people need office space. People need production space. People need that.
Why do you think I went into rentals?
Exactly. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
But it's not like we kind of have the idea and then we lose it. We become disillusioned. When you're a 5-year-old, you know, your mom has lemons in the freezer. You take the lemons outside and squeeze them and you're a cute little kid and then you make money.
Yeah.
Because there was lemons there, you made lemonade,
Right.
which is a saying.
Right,
but
right.
it's also life. If we don't lose that kind of wide open, immature, pure way, that's how you make a dollar. There is no secret to how to make a dollar.
No, absolutely. Let me take you back. So we're at the paper route,
Yeah.
right? So what were your stages? I know we jumped around here and we got pretty advanced. But after the paper route, how long was it until you became an entrepreneur? Per se?
I got thrown out of school.
Okay.
And I told you I don't have a GED. I was diagnosed later in life with ADHD.
Okay.
And anxiety disorders and whatnot. So what are funny little stories now was an issue as a kid. You know, everything I've been punished for, expelled for, gotten in trouble for is what I get paid for today. But it wasn't funny as a kid. I didn't have
Right. Didn't
So
understand.
it was incredibly heartbreakingly debilitating to get thrown out of school, especially at 17 years old when anybody you knew, I didn't have a lot of friends as it was, but everybody you knew went on, they were in school, which is, for all intents and purposes, the only social center there is to meet people. So I had to go and get a job because I wasn't just going to sit home. So I got a job at a carpet warehouse. And it was really interesting. I started watching what was happening at this carpet warehouse.
Okay.
And the suppliers would come in to the owner with their samples and say, you know, this is what we're manufacturing this month, and we have ends that are, you know, you can get them at this. So I started making friends with the suppliers, and I said, so what do I have to do? Like, I can sell carpet. What do I have to do to get the supply? Like, I don't understand. I don't know this business.
Sure.
And they go, well, you gotta pay for it. And I go, where am I gonna get money to buy it? Before somebody gives me, if I went to your house because you wanted to buy carpet, then how would I get all the money to buy it?
Okay.
And then there was I started seeing that the salesmen were setting up finance. They were working through a bank.
Okay.
And the bank had these finance papers. So they could sell people, you could buy your living room, dining room, and bedrooms full of carpet, and it's only going to be $56 a month. And I said, well, how does that work?
So he's basically talking about taking a loan to finance the carpet.
Right.
Yeah.
But the finance company would base the loan not on me, would base the loan on the buyer.
Correct.
So there's no downside to me.
Yeah.
I just had to get the buyer's information,
Yep.
their bank account, their job. I would send that paper, that contract into the bank, and they would verify it or not.
Yep. They'd get qualified to actually receive the loan to buy the carpet, and you're just the middleman.
That's it. Yeah. So what would happen is I said to the bank, I said, if I bring you papers, it didn't matter that I was 17 years old. I said, if I bring you papers, will you carry the papers?
Of course they
go,
would.
Yeah. They said, well, we're not carrying your papers. We're carrying whoever you sell.
It's all upside for you if you can convince people to take the loan and buy the carpet.
So they gave me some of those contracts.
Nice.
I talked to the guy, the manufacturer, to give me some samples. And I started by taking out little ads for like $50, you know, shop at home service.
You're taking ads out too.
Little
ones.
Little
Like newspaper stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shop at home service. And I would go to people's house, and I knew I looked young, so I would lie and say, you know, it's my dad's store, so he sent me out.
Of course.
You know, because his kid would come with
You
carpet.
had to convince people. You had to buy their
trust me.
Yeah.
To trust me.
Yeah.
And I would measure their house, and I'd say, listen, we can do this for, you know, $60 a month, this carpet. And they'd say, okay. And then I'd sign the papers, and then I would borrow my mom's car and drive it to the bank. The bank would say they approved it. They would write me a check for the full amount. I would have to go take that. I would take that to the manufacturer, the distributor. The distributor, I would make friends with the installers. So then I would have the check, go drop it off. They would cut the carpet for me, and then I would have the installer go over and pick up the carpet and go install the carpet.
That's called hustle. You're hustling.
Yeah, but then I saw, oh my God, this is just easy. This is just, and I kept doing it. And I ended up with 2 locations and 20 different salesmen. And I started.
So this is your own business.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
You had 20 people doing this for you.
Probably.
Wow.
You know, just a shop at home service. And I'm colorblind.
And how old are you? 17?
At this time, 18 to, I did it from about 18 to 21.
Wow. Impressive.
And then my father opened up. My father was always pretty entrepreneurial and sales centric, and he opened up the one of those phone rooms, which I thought was fun. You know how you phone people and you sell stuff? You got these huge phone rooms with here in LA. It used to be like 50 out of work actors would be in a room phoning, and I saw sometimes they sell toner. Yeah, we were selling fluorescent office lighting.
Okay.
And we created a pitch. I loved it because we would sit there and I'd go, "Hey, it's Howie from Leadman Lighting. You working hard or hardly working? Hey, here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna," and I would talk to you just call the purchasing agent. I'd call to the a big company. Yeah. And I just found in the yellow pages. So say it was like I'm trying to think of something that's a chain, and I would find out who the buyer was, and I'd phone and I'd say, "Who buys the stuff for the store? Who buys the lighting for your warehouse?" I called the mall. It's the management company of the mall. Who is buying the lighting for the mall? Okay. And then what I would do is I would just hope they didn't know that I was a kid on the other. So say it was Mike Hoffer it was the guy. Yeah. And I go, "Hey, Mike. Howie from Leadman Lighting. You working hard or hardly working?" Listen, I'm
hardly working.
Yeah. Listen, I'll tell you why I'm calling. We have a limited offer, but what are the fluorescents that you use what are the fluorescents that you've been using in the? I don't have it written down here. What are the fluorescents that you've been using in the mall, or what are the lighting you've been using in the mall? You would tell me. Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you with the DW40s or whatever they are. With the DW40s, I got 4 cases right now, and this is what I'm going to do. This is why I'm calling actually. Do you want, because we're only doing this with our good customers, do you want the transistor radio or do you want the television? So we have a Sony TV that comes with the 4 boxes. I'm going to ship out the 4 boxes, but I just want to know what kind of, do you want the Sony TV? And the guy would go, "Well, Sony TV comes with the 4 boxes? I'll take the Sony TV." All right, let me just write it down and we'll do that. And they were too uncomfortable to say, "Who is this? Wow. I don't deal with you." Wow. Very little returns, and it was just a fun little sales kind of schmoozing scammer, wasn't it?
Well, you were cold calling, basically cold calling.
Right, but we realized rather than saying, "I'm Howie Mandel,"
right,
and I'm trying to sell you lights, you're probably dealing, I'm going to undercut it was just this thing of fast talking as if you knew who I was. Mm-hmm. Making it uncomfortable for you to go, "Who is this? Right. You're not the guy." No, the reason I'm calling, Mike, before, if I heard you starting to talk, I would say, wait, I just want to know, because I only got one left, and you're shipping out the other. Hold the TV. Do you want the TV?
I love it.
Yes, I want the TV.
I love it.
Okay, so you want the TV. That's a Sony TV. I'm going to put it in the box. You know what? It's usually $6. I'm only going to send 4. You don't need to bet that many because so 4, I'll send 4, boxes of gross bulbs, 144 bulbs in a box, and I'll send 4 of those out. And who should I just give me the address? Is it the usual? Just tell me what the shipping address is and where it is, and I'll put your name on it. And
did you send a TV?
Yeah, but we would have a TV. I'd have at that time. It was like 1974, 73. It was like a little Radio Shack TV. We would buy all that, but that's what it was. Yeah. You would just. I would imagine in your position, you can't, but I would imagine in your position all the time as a guy who makes a television show, right? You have probably hundreds, if not 1,000 different contracts, whether it's your lighting guy, whether it's your building guy, whether it's the wood guy or what's I'm sure you're hit up all the time.
Oh, all the time.
And I'm sure that, and it's constantly available to anybody, because I also build houses. We'll talk about that a little in just a second. But kickback is probably, as much as it's frowned upon, it's the most offered vehicle for selling in any form of business.
Your history. Yeah. I'd agree with you. 100%.
Yeah.
100% on that. And I'm seeing all these similarities with you, actually, because in college I did the same thing.
Yeah.
In college, I used to sell digital ad space, and we were a broker. Right, which is basically a middleman.
Right,
so I didn't have to touch anything.
Right.
So we had advertisers and we had publishers.
Right.
And our publishers were our inventory basically.
Right.
And then we'd sell that inventory to the advertisers, and I'd do the exact same thing. And I'd have to go in and make like 50 to 100 cold calls a day and figure out how to convince it. And I'm just going to say a little story here. But like, so you're my buddy and you're just sitting this close to me,
Right.
and I feel like I'm losing the sale.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I'm sorry, ma'am. You know what? I think my manager can probably, maybe give you a better discount than I. Let me transfer you up to the third floor. Just hold on for a second. I put you on hold. I'd be like, can you close this deal for me? You're my manager, okay?
Right.
So I'd send it over, and my buddy would close the deal, and we'd be like, yeah!
But it's fun.
Yeah, it's so
fun.
fun.
There is something so exciting about sales, about closing a deal, about putting it together. And, I don't know what the temperature of anybody that's watching this or listening to this is, but I think the first approach, think of it as a sport. If you think of it as a sport and you get up every day and you want to play the game,
right.
And your team are your dollars and your mouth.
Yeah.
Your mouth is your coach.
Yeah.
Your dollars are your players. Let's play the game. And let's see if we can score more points than lose. Because
Right.
you can also lose points.
Yeah.
There are bad investments. There's shitty investments.
100%.
But I always thought, if it can't be this easy. It can't be this easy. And it's always been this easy.
Yeah, you just got to put it out there. You got to put it out there.
Nike says it. Just do it.
Yeah, there you go. Just do it.
Yeah, like I even said, you're a farm boy, and
Yeah.
now you're in charge of, a multi-million-dollar weekly expense.
Well, even beyond that, I'm sitting down with you talking about money.
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's
here
a
we
long
are.
way from the farm.
Yeah, so you did the paper route, and it seemed like you found the value of
No,
a dollar.
then I went into sales.
But then you went into sales,
Uh-huh.
and you really, really loved the game.
Right.
And then from that sales, where'd you go from there?
So I love that entrepreneurial spirit. So I was always looking for things. I had something. I'll show you. I'm going to walk away from the mic for just a second, but I'm going to show you this.
Okay.
This is just talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, we're gonna improvise as Howie gets something to show us here, but I'm loving this chat.
So everything I've ever enjoyed and everything I ever see is me questioning myself as, how can this be a business? How can I make money?
Okay.
And whether it's my comedy or whether it's anything that I do now, or it's a show or sitting and talking to a friend, how can I make this productive? So in 1979, I was down in Florida and I saw this thing. And if you're just listening to it, it's called an Uncle Sherman flasher doll. And it's this little stuffed, creepy looking guy with a mustache wearing a trench coat. And if you open his trench coat, you can see his very 70s. It's before Manscaped. It came in the B. But in 1980, I promise you that this was hilarious. And I said, and I saw the manufacturer. I'd never seen them before, and I'm from Canada, and I saw it in Florida.
Okay.
So this is as soon as I got back to my hotel room, I started looking up this company, and I called the manufacturer of this company. And I said, let me be, it's not instead of, it's on top of everything that I'm doing with my dad. Let me be the distributor for Canada.
Oh, no kidding.
For the doll. Okay. Everything I saw, I once saw a little stick that had flossing in it. I got the rights to that out of Detroit. I was trying to go to the equivalent of our CVS's and sell that. If I saw
like those little plastic sticks with the floss.
Yeah, but this was before. Nobody was flossing in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they didn't have a floss stick. Yeah.
Okay.
Floss.
Yeah.
When I saw it attached, it was on the back of a toothbrush, and I bought the rights to that. I got the rights to that.
Okay.
And the same way, I would call these companies and go, listen, I'm Mr. Mandel from Toronto, Canada. We're a national distribution company. We would like a 6-month window. We want to bring your product up to our country, and we will distribute it nationally. Wow. And that's what they would say. Wow, they didn't know I was a kid calling from my mom's house.
And you're 18.
Yeah.
I love it.
But for the same thing, I saw this, and I thought, this Uncle Sherman doll. So what happened is I actually wrote a check to get a gross of them, which is 144 dolls, and I was going to ship them up. I think it's from California. Let me see if I can see the tag. I'm pretty sure it was from someplace here in California, and ship them to Canada. When they got to the border, they stopped it at the border. Don't stare at it like that. Anyway, they stopped it at the border. And they said that I was shipping pornographic materials.
No.
Well, it's a naked man in a trench coat.
Yeah.
So then I said, so then just return it back to California. And then they took it back, and my genius idea was, let's remove the penis.
I knew you were gonna say that. Let's
Why?
remove it, make it Velcro.
No, well, I didn't know if I didn't come up with the Velcro idea, but I said, let's remove the penis. You ship me the dolls, and then ship me a gross of these, and I'll figure out how to attach them in Canada. It can't cost a lot, and I can have my mom do it. My mom spends all day sewing penises onto little pillows. So I got 144 dolls, and that the penises never arrived, and they didn't know what. Can you imagine a whole box of these?
They never sent the penises.
No, they did.
Oh,
The border didn't let these little. They didn't let this through.
yeah. But the dolls came.
Yes.
And then the penises came later, and poor mom was sewing them on.
No,
Oh.
the penises got stuck at the border.
Oh, the penis by itself got stuck at the border.
Yes.
Oh my word.
Yes. So they didn't come. No
Okay.
pun intended. They were just stuck at the border.
All right.
It was a shipping dysfunction.
Catastrophe. It sounds like.
SD instead of ED.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
So it was I had to go to the border and claim 144 penises. But anyway, I was having trouble. I flew down to California.
Did you ever make a buck?
No,
No.
it cost me money
They
because
cost
I
you.
never got it
So
together.
you lost on this one.
Yeah.
You lost on this
Yeah.
one. Okay.
Yeah, but that's how you play the game. You
Well,
get knocked down.
Correct.
But it was kind
this
of
was
funny.
a loss, but this is something that I like to share as well. You don't win them all, right? So you
I didn't
lost
win
and
on
then-
the floss didn't sell either.
But did this deter you from?
No,
venturing-
I was always doing something.
You were-
I went into the household fire alarm business, and
after this.
I think at the same time.
Okay.
I'm always doing things at the same time. I made tapes. I was selling it door to door. This is horrible, but I made tapes. Me and my friends of screaming as if we were burning, and that was my door to door fire alarm sale. You don't want this to be your family, and I had all this screaming like they were trapped in a fire.
Wow, that is very creative, though.
Is it?
Yeah,
I think
so.
it's a little ridiculous.
But-
I didn't know it was ridiculous. I would do anything I was just trying to sell things. Everything I looked at, I said, how can I sell that? How can I take that? Who else wants this? How can I make a profit on this? And it was like crazy. I actually read for the movie. Did you ever see the movie Night Shift?
No.
Okay, there's a famous movie with Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton, and Michael Keaton plays the character Billy Blaze. And I said, I'm Billy Blaze. Billy Blaze was a guy, they took over a morgue at night and made it a house of ill repute. You know, it was like, and he had ideas. I remember the lines that I had to read. It was Ron Howard's first movie that he ever directed. It was like he was going to feed tuna mayonnaise so that when we caught tuna and we made tuna fish, there was already mayonnaise in it.
Yeah.
And that's the way I always thought of, like, how can I... It's like half of my ideas, more than half of my ideas, are really but they're really fun.
Yeah.
And they're really, and you know what? If I don't make these mistakes, and if I don't go for it, you know, Wayne Gretzky, I'm a hockey fan coming from Canada. Wayne Gretzky says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
But I take more shots than anybody.
Right.
I'm always saying yes to everything. That's why I'm on your podcast today. I say yes, and I will. I'm afraid of no.
Well,
I'm afraid of no. No is spelled N-O. N-O are the first two letters in the word nothing. So nothing is no is the beginning of nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, I got a great story here. I got mistakes that I made.
Yeah, you learned from it, and then you moved on.
Well, I came down here on a meeting to talk to the manufacturers of this.
Okay.
I
So
was
now
on-
you're in California, LA.
Just on a week trip.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
I made a little bit of a vacation, but business too, so I can
Write
write it off.
Yep. There you go.
There you go. And my friend Mike Binder, who's a comedian, I had been doing stand up at a place called Yuck Yucks in Toronto with no thought.
Didn't
of,
you just do a stand up there recently at Yuck Yucks or no? I
Yeah,
think you might have told me
I was doing Canada's Got Talent, and I dropped in. I drop in
you
on
did.
clubs. I'm in clubs every night.
That's right.
I'm always doing it. But I did that and continued to do that. I didn't think that was one area that I wasn't entrepreneurial about, stand up.
Gotcha.
And to this day, I'm not. I love, like tomorrow night, I'm dropping in on a club here in town. That's not, I get really nice pay for when people hire me and I go out. I'm playing Vegas with Preacher
cool.
next week.
Yeah.
But even when I'm not,
Yeah.
I drop in because I love doing it. That was my pastime.
That's fun.
But doing that, I had bumped into a guy by the name of Mike Binder, who is a well-known director-producer now, but he was a comic at the time from Detroit. And him and Dave Coulier had driven up from Detroit to Toronto and played the club, and he met me. And when I was in town, I called him because I knew he lived here. And he got me on at the Comedy Store. And he got that, which was a great idea for a moment during my vacation.
Right.
So I went on the Comedy Store, and Mitzi saw me and made me a regular. And there was a producer in the audience by the name of George Foster, who was doing a comedy game show called Make Me Laugh.
Okay.
And he asked me to do the TV show. He goes, "You want to do TV?" I went, "Yeah."
So this is your first stint with TV.
First stint with TV.
Wow.
KTLA. I'd never been on a lot before. So I went there and I did Make Me Laugh. For those that don't know, you can look it up on YouTube, but it was people got paid money not to laugh. And for every second they didn't laugh, it was a minute, they won money. So comics would come out and try to make them laugh. I wasn't even really a comic, but I was an idiot, and I would stand in front of them and do really funny voices and sounds like that. And then I flew back. He hired me that next day. We shot 5 in one day.
Wow.
Which
Nice.
was, I said, wow, because at that time, scale was, I think, $200 or whatever it was.
Okay.
He gave me $1,000. $1,000. I did 5 shows in one day to act like an idiot. I don't remember what the turnout was with my meetings with the Uncle Sherman doll. I flew home and continued in the lighting business. And I started getting calls.
Oh, wow.
And I would get calls from the Mike Douglas show and the Merv Griffin show.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I wasn't a full-time comic, and they'd say, "Come on down and do it. We saw you on Make Me Laugh." And I went down and did Mike Douglas, and I did Merv Griffin. And I would fly back. And it was, I'd go there and do 6 minutes, and they would pay you $200,
So you're
$300.
flying back and forth now, doing these shows.
Yeah.
Wow.
And sometimes they would pay for the ticket to go down, and I'd go down, and I'd get like, $500. And I had no idea how the business worked, but I thought, God, if I'm spending 6 minutes on these shows for $500, can you imagine if I do these shows all day, every day?
Yeah, you just did the math.
I didn't know. But when I did the Merv Griffin show, this is the height of like 1980 of Kiss.
I was going to ask when this was. So
Gene Simmons.
Early 80s.
80. 1980, 1981. Gene Simmons phoned me. Kiss was huge.
Yeah.
And he calls me and goes, "This is Gene Simmons from Kiss." And I can't believe, I've never even met a celebrity. And he goes, "Would you like to be my, we saw you in Merv Griffin. I think you're very funny. Would you like to be my girlfriend's opening act?" And I went, yeah, I'd like to. Who's your girlfriend? His girlfriend was Diana Ross. And she was playing Caesar's Palace. And they flew me down, and I ended up being the opening act at Caesar's Palace for Diana Ross.
So now that this has taken off,
Yeah.
has your business and your entrepreneurial spirit kind of gone away? Or is it still
A little bit. It shifted. So I said I was engaged to be married to the girl that I'm married to still.
Great.
Terry. And I said to her, "Listen, every time I go down to LA, something happens. I'm making some money. This is just fun. This doesn't feel like a business. It doesn't seem it seems to be chasing me more than I'm chasing it, which is new.
Right.
People are
Makes
calling
sense.
me.
Yep.
So I said, "Listen, I'm young. I'm 21, 20 years old, 21, and 1978. I'll be 23. I was 23.
23. Okay.
Yeah. So I said, let me go for a year just down here and see what happens. And I told my dad I'm not going to work in the lighting business. I sold my carpet business.
Okay.
I just
You sold your carpet business?
well, just a partner that was there, I gave it to him.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said to Terry, "You want to come down?" And she said, yeah. Her parents wanted to call off the wedding. I mean, because I said I want to quit everything. If anybody remembers me from those days, my biggest trademark move was pulling a rubber glove on my head.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
I do.
Okay, well, when you are the parent of a young lady who's about to get married, whose husband-to-be says, "You know what, we're going to move 3,000 miles away, and don't worry, I'm going to support your daughter by putting a rubber glove on my head." I remember, they even said, they didn't understand they didn't understand this business, because I remember I went back and I did Merv Griffin again, And we told her parents and told my parents and my friends, I'm going to be on Merv. This is a big deal.
Big deal,
Be
yeah.
on a national
Merv is
talk
big,
show.
yeah.
You know, so I went and did the show again. And my mom called, my dad called, all my friends called, and her parents never called. And about a week later, we called her parents. I said, you got to call your parents. Ask them if they saw Merv. So she called her parents, and she said, did you see Howie on Merv Griffin? They go, yeah, what happened? She goes, what do you mean what happened? Well, we saw him there, and then we watched the next day, and did they fire him?
Oh, they didn't understand.
So they didn't understand a job was like 1 day, 5 minutes, and you're gone. If you have a job,
Freelance.
if you have a job, you should be there 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, every day.
Every day, yeah.
Maybe not the weekend.
Yeah.
But so they didn't understand. They never understood the frailty of steady work,
Right.
which was really hard for them. And that's why when I came down here and I started to understand that there wasn't something to do every single day, that scared the shit out of me.
Okay.
But I would get a
Likely.
job here and there where they would pay me, $2,000,
Sure.
or I'd get like that. So I'd get that, but then I wouldn't tomorrow. And I'll be totally honest with you. I still, to this day in show business, whatever I'm doing, I feel like that's it. At a certain point, I even said to my wife last night, I love AGT.
Yeah.
There is going to be a point when it stops, they stop with me, they want to make a change, I'm not going there anymore. That's scary.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm set financially, but I want to go. I still want, a lot of it isn't just the money.
Sure.
I love being there.
That's like a family.
It is like a family, but beyond that, I'm also scared that, the flow, that's why I want everything. I want to, even if I'm not working, even if you don't call me, I want there to be a paycheck coming in.
Sure.
Even if as I get older.
So is that part of the reason why you picked up on the entrepreneurial business side again? Like you had the start of it in TV, and then you realized that these were quick hits, so to speak?
Always.
And then you needed like an ancillary form of income?
Always.
For me.
And my other form of incomes were always more time consuming, and I'm more consumed. Like, people don't know. I've gotten less and less, but real estate became the thing because I wanted to play real Monopoly.
Right. Me too. That's why I love real estate.
Well, I loved real estate.
So when did you jump in?
Oh, so when I started playing Caesar's Palace, and I noticed Vegas, Steve Wynn bought a bunch of land. Vegas, Caesar's was the pinnacle of Vegas at that time.
Okay.
And then Steve Wynn, who's the king of entrepreneurial movement, built the Mirage. When the Mirage came up, the Mirage was the first hotel that kind of started this wave of, instead of being the Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra kind of tuxedoed night where they did things for the entire family. The Mirage had Siegfried and Roy, which was kind of a circus magic show, so you could bring the kids and you can have at that same time, I don't know if he had that much to do with it, Las Vegas became the biggest growing city in the nation.
Wow.
And that became because he was building hotels. A couple of other hotels started going. And what happened was all the trades, because I was trying to do work on my house, but every trade would move there. That was the place where, as a tile man, as a plumber, as an electrician.
Mass expansion.
Yes, they were going there.
Yeah.
And I had a friend that was going there, and what he started doing, he told me, he says, I'm in the warehouse business. I have these little, kind of like this, what we're sitting in right now.
Okay.
I have these warehouses, but they're little, the strip mall kind of warehouses he was building where the back has a loading dock and the front has a little office.
Oh, yeah, we used to be in one of those.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
So if you're the plumber, you could store all your tiles or your electrical equipment or your pipes or your whatever your trades there, and you got an office in the front, and they were all working. And he said he was doing all these tilt-ups. I didn't really know what that was, but he was doing all these boxes, and they were all rented out.
Wow.
So I said, but there's better math than that. There's better math than that. Why don't we do something a little bit? He was building all those.
Okay.
I bought all the dirt around the airport, which was nothing. The Vegas airport, it was nothing. I bought a ton of dirt, or as much as I could. I bought that, and I said, let's build the same things. Okay, exactly the same because it costs nothing. It's just
Yeah.
4 walls and it's
Like
nothing.
prefab walls, right? That you just
Prefab walls. It's really nothing.
Right.
And it was like a guarantee. There was a shortage of space for these trades, so you knew that it was always going to rent out. But
That's
I said, why are we renting them? Why don't we sell? I started selling what we called commercial condos. I said to the plumber. I don't know what you're paying. I can't remember what it was, but say you're paying $1,500 a month for your little warehouse in your office. Why wouldn't you pay $1,500 a month for your mortgage? Now you have an asset, you have a write-off, and you have equity, and it's yours.
So you just created businesses for all these tradesmen.
So, well, I created.
Yeah, because you have a write-off, you own an asset, and you have a place to work from. In stores.
So we couldn't build enough of those. Finally, I couldn't buy more.
Wow.
Then I noticed the place was just booming. Vegas was booming.
Yeah.
And there are places like, who KB Homes are.
Yeah,
like
of
they're big home builders. And I was aware, I always read the real estate section, and I'm fascinated by everybody's business that's not mine. And what happened is they would take and this is the early 80s, they would buy out a tract like Summerlin. These are suburbs of Vegas, way off the strip.
Yep.
But at that time, it was just desert.
Yep.
And they would buy plots and plots of land, and they would sanction it for like 2,000 homes, 2,500 homes. And what I saw, what was making the news, is that as they broke ground, people would be standing in line trying to, fighting for homes.
A bidding war.
There was bidding wars.
Wow.
This was
Okay.
in the early 80s. But I would say there's 2,000 homes. You're 9 miles from the strip. Just put yourself in that position. So I would buy 2 acres of dirt for nothing on the road, dirt road at the point, not even paved, leading into every one of these communities.
Okay.
As people started moving in, and I'd get investors, we would build a strip mall, a gas station, and a car wash.
Wow.
Because I'd go, if you got 2,000 homes here, where are you going to fill up? You're going to fill up when you get home. You're going to do, this is what, with an AM, PM station, where you can buy good. I ended up building about 9 of those. I had gas stations. But and then.
You're mid-20s? 25?
30s.
30s?
Yeah, 30. Okay. I started doing that. And then the phone is coming in. I'm not going to even take the call. I'm so excited about this. I could have sold something. I bet you I sold something. But anyway.
Oh, man. I'm going to owe you big.
What?
I'm going to owe you big if you could have sold something.
But then I realized, and then I learned another business. So we would have these gas stations.
Okay.
And then in the gas station, it would become real estate because the post office would come in. And if they put, how you walk into those stores and you'd have a stamp machine?
Yeah.
The post office pays you for that little spot.
So you started selling little squares.
But I don't know. A gas station, then they come and knock on your door.
Oh my gosh.
And then, because we're in Nevada, this was the big thing. The slot machine, electronic poker machines are in the, they would give us, and I'm not exaggerating, I don't think it's that now. I think it's much less now. But to have an electronic poker machine or slot machine.
Just one of those little things that look like an
in
ATM.
a gas station. In a gas station,
you
can play, not on the strip.
Yeah.
They would offer us $30,000 a month. $30,000 a month. Wow. So much so that my partner left the business, and now he has, I think he has something like 3,000 slot machines and his own casino. But he built that. He went into that business. And he got his gambling license. But I just learned that was real estate. I ended up selling all that. I'm older now. I'm almost 70. So now it's just fun to, every day I'm looking at real estate. If I see something in a hot market that's available, I will buy and build. And there isn't a year that goes by that I'm not building a house.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I'm always building a house and always selling
from
at
scratch?
least one a year. From
Or
scratch.
renovating?
I'll buy, no, not renovation.
Nope.
No, I will buy a property, bulldoze it, and build something brand new.
I didn't know that.
Every year. I always have a house. In fact, I have a house right now in Studio City if you'd like to buy it.
Wow.
But
now, how time management? How do you manage all this?
because nothing takes time.
Okay.
Nothing takes time. So you mean building a house?
Yeah, building.
I do
building a
absolutely
house,
nothing.
dude.
My son-in-law's best friend who marched at my daughter's wedding became a builder. He went into his dad's business, which was just commercial painting, and then he became a builder. And for all intents and purposes, I do absolutely nothing but write the check. He builds the house. He's really trustworthy. I know what the fourth grade math is. I go, this is how much I'm willing to spend a square foot because this is what the market is. This is the timeline you have. You have 2 years. Bring it in at this price and let's sell it. And he's my partner. So he runs that. It's again, it's somewhat passive because I'm not. I'll go look at it when it's done.
But what you just explained is reverting back to the beginning of our conversation, kind of what you said. Like you said that keeping control of all the finances yourself and not having to go outside to ask somebody, like, can I afford that house, right?
Right.
But Howie just explained right there. You said you know what you want to spend. You tell them what you want to spend. You tell them what the timeline is, and don't go outside of that.
Right.
Because you've done your research in the market.
But if you go look, if anybody goes on Zillow today, if you go on Zillow and pick any neighborhood wherever you live, you look at everything, go what's sold, the 4-bedroom houses. You go look at what's sold. They give you the math. You could see that houses and what the trend was. You can go back a couple of months and or back a year, whatever you want, on all the closed houses. And it'll tell you that these houses in this area are going for $300 a square foot. It's $300 a square foot. That's what it is. And the average house is, 2,500 square feet. I'm just throwing out stupid numbers.
I know what you're saying,
But that's what they're selling, $300 a square foot.
Times the square footage.
So if you could bring me this house, and I'm throwing out stupid numbers now just because I'm not thinking.
Yeah.
But if I can build a brand new house and I could bring it in at $150 a square foot,
that's half the price.
And sell it for $300 because that's what every house is selling. And I could see how long they were on the market. So I can tell you that this is a good market. This is a strong market. It's a little bit of a gamble because from beginning to end, usually it takes about 2.5 years. But then again, you can also sell things before they're done.
Right.
And then the buyer can customize it and flip it. Yeah. It's kind of easy. We have a mutual friend that's doing that a lot. Sam is doing that.
Yep, we're going to have her on the show, I hope.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I'm trying to.
But we're talking about the woman who runs AGT. She's the executive producer of AGT. Yeah. You talk about time management. AGT is an effing handful. It is a big operation. How many people are employed in that?
I think we're just over 600 at full capacity.
Okay, so they're running 600 people, and at the same time, she's building a house. Yeah. Which for most people would be considered a full-time job.
Correct.
But I think money and time management is key to success.
I was just going to ask you two things, that and why real estate?
Real estate is the easiest thing to kind of understand, as opposed to currency like Bitcoin, like crypto and the stock market. My father was was in the stock market when I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I'm older now. When I was a kid, I even understood the stock market. The stock market was investing in something that was fourth grade math because they would arrive at what the value of the stock is based on the bricks and mortar, like they've got this much real estate, based on the amount of sales that they did last year and how over history it's been going up. That's how you kind of said, okay, if I'm going to buy one share of 1 million shares that they have, that's how they arrived at that. That's understandable what I just said, right?
Yes.
When .com became and tech became the driver of the stock market and Bitcoins, then you were investing in ideas. And maybe I'm old, but I don't think it's as safe. I think you can take bigger shots,
right,
but you're investing. How do you discern the value of an idea? Yeah. And then what is happening is it becomes even more of a gamble because and can identify a great idea, and that's how you make it in Vegas. That's money management. That's like, when do you pull it off the table?
Yeah.
Theranos was a great idea, right?
Yeah.
We didn't know that it wasn't going to happen. But if you invested in that in the beginning, she shot it up like 10x. There are people that made money
Of course.
doing something that was,
Yeah.
but for the most part, real estate is bricks and mortar. It's not. So I'm kind of old school.
Yeah, I'm old school too. I like things that are tangible personally. I like things that are tangible. I can look and I can feel. It's not as volatile from what I know, right? But I mean, this has been great. Like, I don't, you've given us a lot of time. I think we could sit here all day and talk about this. I really do.
I love this. I'm really passionate about it. I like it. People don't know it. They know me as a comedian, or they know me as a judge, or they know me as a host or a cartoon character. But the real me is the guy that likes to play the game, and likes it. And everything is a game. How can I,
Let me ask you this before we close up. Is there anything you'd change?
No, absolutely not. And I think you'll hear this from a lot of people who have had, a modicum of success. If you really look back at the mistakes where you could go over and do it better, I don't think that would have brought me. I'm happy right now, semi-happy. I have mental health issues, and I deal with depression and anxiety and all that other. As far as entrepreneurial,
right,
I'm happy. And, I was offered to be involved with giant businesses that I said no to because they didn't make sense to me. And I didn't get that opportunity, and I would be a lot more successful than I am. But I don't need to be more successful than I am.
Sure.
But I think those mistakes and knowing those mistakes kind of creates who you are and the decisions you make now. So I need all that and all those mistakes to be able to be aware enough to make the decisions that I'm making today. And if I'm lucky enough to be around a long time more, if you talk to me in another decade, I'll know so much more than I know today. And I think that you got to be willing to open yourself up. And I think that's the biggest problem in life. If I can give anybody advice, it's be open and listen. I think we all do things in a way that we learn how to do it, we get comfortable doing it, and that's the way it's done, and you hang on. And even as an old man, you go, the music today, my day was good music. Well, no, your day was good music for you. That old song doesn't do anything for a young person today. And in the same way, you and I are in the television business.
Right.
The television business was 100%, it doesn't even look like it did. And it doesn't look like it did. Technically, from 4K to the high def to you used to be able to do a show and they would be fully funded, and then you would get residuals because over the summer they would repeat, so you were making double the money. And now streaming didn't exist and and now you can virtually, and that's what I'm doing here. If I want to do something that's only 10 minutes long and I want to shoot it and upload it, I can make money. I needed a TV station to come and tell me what to do. I'm doing things, and I'm learning from my kids. My son built a studio and whatever. Cool. So just be open. And the way you do things today and the advice that you're given today, and the way it will not be. If you're doing it like that 10 years from now, then.
Well, there you go.
There I go.
I love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
I really appreciate your time, your expertise, you taking us through your life, your ups and downs. Love your entrepreneurial spirit. All those things are fantastic.
Do you want to end it on smoke?
Oh, do you have smoke? We have all kinds of things in here. I love it.
Hang on, it'll come up in a minute. It'll come in front of the camera. Just an effect to close out this episode.
I love it.
Yeah. I invested in a smoke machine. I don't know if I'm making money, but we're selling Howie Mandel smoke machine franchises. If you're interested, I'm sure there's a place to subscribe and comment below.
Please.
And it's not all smoke and mirrors. Sometimes it's just smoke without mirrors. I think that's too much. Is this too much?
There's never too much.
Well, can they see us?
Just do it.
Oh my God, that's too much. I'm sorry, Mike.
We're okay. We're good. I think it's a fitting end. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you so much.